It's midnight and you're tuned in to Nightline with me, Liyana Hassanel. The top stories. GISBH CEO and 12 executives receive 15-month sentence, freed same day, as time served taken into account. And speculation over cabinet reshuffle intensifies. Good morning. Indonesia's national police on Friday said the suspect believed to be behind the explosions at a mosque inside a school complex, which left dozens injured, is a student at the institution. Police Chief Listio Sigit Prabowo said no deaths had been recorded so far from the explosions in the capital, Jakarta. Authorities said 55 people, mostly students, were hospitalized with injuries ranging from minor to severe, including burns, after the explosions went off at a mosque in the Kelapa Gading area. House of Representatives Deputy Speaker Sufmi Dasko Ahmad said the young male suspect was undergoing surgery without giving more details or possible motive. Authorities are now investigating the suspect's background and possible motive. Earlier, witnesses reported hearing two loud blasts around midday, just as the sermon began at the mosque. Officials said an anti-bomb squad that was deployed at the scene found toy rifles and a toy gun near the mosque. Initial inspections found no major damage to the mosque, and a probe into the explosions is underway. Global Equine Services and Business Holdings GISBH Chief Executive Officer Nasiruddin Muhammad Ali, along with 12 senior leaders of the organization, were each sentenced to 15 months in prison by the Shah Alam High Court on Friday. The court handed down the sentence after they pleaded guilty to an alternative charge under the Societies Act for being part of an unlawful organization 5 years ago. All of them, however, were later released the same day, as the court took into account that they had already spent more than 13 months in detention at Sungai Buloh prison. Judge Datuk Sri Latifah Tahar, who presided over the proceedings at the Kajang Prison Court Complex, ordered the men to serve the jail sentence from their arrest between September 25th and October 12th last year. Nasiruddin's wife Azura Mat Yusuf and 8 other female accused were each fined 4,500 ringgit, in default 7 months jail, after admitting to the same charge. Delivering her judgment, Latifah said their guilty pleas and remorse were taken into account, and that the time already served was sufficient for their release. The judge also ordered that the 22 mobile phones, which are no longer part of the case exhibits, be returned to their owners. The Attorney General's chambers had, on October 30th, accepted their representations to face an alternative charge of being members of an unlawful organization under Section 43 of the Societies Act. They were initially charged with being part of an organized criminal group under the Penal Code, which provides for imprisonment of between 5 and 20 years upon conviction. Between September 25th and October 12th last year, the accused were arrested in stages for their involvement in GISBH, which was discovered to be operating at Bandar Country Homes in Rawang. A further probe revealed that GISBH is a continuation of the defunct Al-Arqam movement, which was declared deviant in 1994. Speculation over possible cabinet reshuffle has resurfaced after Higher Education Minister Datuk Sri Zamri Abdul Kadir hinted in his speech at the Putrajaya Festival of Ideas on Friday that it could happen very soon. The event was also attended by Prime Minister Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim.
Sama ada saya masih menjadi Menteri Kabinet ataupun tidak, itu soal nombor 2. Tetapi ini adalah agenda negara. PM senyum bagi acara. Sebab saya pun tak lama, 2-3 minggu lagi.
Zamri was appointed as a senator in December 2022 before being appointed as foreign minister and later higher education minister. Checks on the Malaysian Parliament website shows that his term as senator is scheduled to end on December 2nd, 2025. Also sworn in on the same date were Home Minister Datuk Sri Saifuddin Nasution Ismail, Minister in the Prime Minister's Department for Religious Affairs Datuk Muhammad Naim Mokhtar, and Investment, Trade and Industry Minister Datuk Sri Tengku Zafrul Tengku Abdul Aziz. After the event, the Prime Minister was deliberately vague when asked by reporters about a possible cabinet reshuffle.
Kemuka cadangan kat siapa?
Earlier, during his speech at the closing ceremony of the Putrajaya Festival of Ideas, Anwar said the education system should not focus solely on examinations and rote memorization. The Prime Minister emphasized that students need to think critically, argue effectively, and confidently express their views based on knowledge.
Kita sudah maju. Sudah ada kekuatan keyakinan akidah baru. Faham apa dia dasar akhlak. Tapi kadang-kadang tindakan kita tidak memenuhi maksud nilai kerana ada pula kelompok yang terlalu jumud. Jumud artinya terlalu taksub dengan cara dan kaedah lama. I'm enthusiastic.
He stressed the urgent need to reform the education system to cultivate a generation of progressive, courageous thinkers grounded in their own values. Anwar also praised the festival, describing it as an important platform for fostering fresh and open-minded thinking, in line with the aspirations of Malaysia Madani. The government is taking seriously a report by an international news agency alleging that social media giant Meta profited from scam-related advertisements. Communications Minister Datuk Fahmi Fadzil said that if the claims are true, the government will summon Meta for an explanation. The Reuters report, citing Meta's internal documents, claimed that about 10% of the company's revenue in 2024 came from ads promoting scams and prohibited products.
Saya kesal laporan ini keluar semalam kerana pasukan MCMC dan juga NFCC, JSJK, JSJ, NSRC baru selesai sesi dengan Meta di Singapura. Tapi sudah pasti laporan yang sebenarnya sangat menggemparkan ini akan kita teliti dan menjadi asas untuk kita memanggil pihak Meta.
Fahmi previously raised in Parliament the issue of Meta's profits in Malaysia, which were reportedly as high as 2.5 billion ringgit in 2023. He noted that legal action could be taken against platforms like Meta once the Online Safety Act comes into force. Malaysia has made a historic achievement on the international stage, having been elected to the Executive Board of the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, for the 2025 to 2029 term. Education Minister and Malaysian National Commission for UNESCO President Fadlina Siddiq said this achievement recognizes Malaysia's leadership and contributions in advancing education, science and culture for a sustainable and inclusive world.
Mewakili Malaysia, saya merakamkan setinggi-tinggi penghargaan kepada semua negara anggota UNESCO yang telah memberikan kepercayaan ini. Kejayaan ini dicapai hasil usaha bersama dari Pasukan Suruhanjaya Kebangsaan UNESCO Malaysia, Kementerian Pendidikan, Kementerian Luar Negeri, Pejabat Delegasi Tetap Malaysia ke UNESCO di Paris, serta rakan-rakan strategik yang sentiasa komited memperjuangkan kepentingan bersama di peringkat global.
She also said that Malaysia's election is a mandate to ensure the voices of developing countries, particularly in Southeast Asia and the Asia-Pacific, are heard and respected. Malaysia's election was announced at the 43rd UNESCO General Conference in Samarkand, Uzbekistan. The Malaysia International Halal Showcase MIHAS at Shanghai 2025 has recorded total sales of 1.24 billion ringgit after just 3 days. Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Sri Ahmad Zahid Hamidi credited the success to three key components of the exhibition. Zahid said the three components comprised the International Sourcing Program, or INSP, which generated sales exceeding 651 million ringgit, exhibition trade transactions worth 271 million ringgit, and Memorandum of Understanding valued at more than 315 million ringgit.
43% daripada hasil jualan ini adalah dalam kategori prepacked food, manakala 16% produk yang dikeluarkan daripada palm oil products, ya. Dan untuk minuman, ya, beverages kira-kira 12%, agricultural product 10%, manakala Islamic finance sebanyak 5%.
He said this at a press conference held at the end of his 4-day working visit to Shanghai, China, which began on November 4th. Based on the encouraging results, Zahid, who is also the Rural and Regional Development Minister, expressed confidence that the overall target of 3 billion ringgit could be achieved by the end of the exhibition on Monday. The event is taking place at Shanghai's National Exhibition and Convention Center and features 250 Malaysian exhibitors. Media Prima News and Current Affairs Deputy Group Managing Editor and News Straits Times Group Editor Farah Naz Abdul Karim was elected to the Malaysian Media Council's board during its first ever annual general meeting on Friday. She joins 11 other elected members representing media companies and associations, journalists, and the public, as well as non-governmental organizations, marking a new milestone for Malaysia's media industry. Farah described the AGM as a historic step towards strengthening media independence and unity among practitioners. She said the Council's mission moving forward is to empower the local media landscape, enhance transparency, and restore public trust in journalism. The Council, formed after the passing of the Malaysian Media Council Bill, will oversee ethical journalism standards and public complaint mechanisms to empower the country's media landscape. The ringgit strengthened to its highest level in 13 months against the US dollar on Friday, following Bank Negara Malaysia's decision a day earlier to maintain the overnight policy rate, or OPR. This now positions the ringgit as Asia's best-performing currency for the second consecutive year. Earlier in the morning, the local currency rose 0.3% to 4.172 against the greenback, its strongest level since October 2024. Amid growing market confidence in Malaysia's economic outlook. It has appreciated more than 7% year-to-date, supported by steady domestic growth and improving investor sentiment. The ringgit also strengthened against other ASEAN currencies, reaching its highest level since September 2022 against the Singapore dollar, and setting a new record high against the Indonesian rupiah. Now, the ringgit's rally to a 13-month high is seen as a positive signal for Malaysia's economy, with analysts expecting the uptrend to continue into 2026. According to economists, the local currency is poised to stay firm, supported by stable policy, solid growth, and improving investor confidence.
Therefore, the implication is that the gap between the Fed fund rate and the overnight policy rate in Malaysia is likely to narrow. And the narrowing of this interest rate gap is expected to translate into more inflows from abroad as ringgit assets is deemed as more attractive.
The fact that Bank Negara Malaysia kept the overnight policy rate at 2.75% gives the market a sense of monetary policy stability, which is always welcomed by the investors. And at the same time, we are seeing the ringgit benefit from weaker US dollar and improved regional sentiment.
China's exports unexpectedly declined in October, pressured by rising uncertainty over tariff disputes with the United States and broader economic tensions. Customs data released on Friday showed that exports from the world's second largest economy fell by 1.1% last month, the sharpest decline since February, reversing an 8.3% increase recorded in September. Chinese exports to the US tumbled 25.17% year-on-year, while those to the European Union and Southeast Asian economies grew by just 0.9% and 8.9% respectively. The drop was partly due to a high base last October, when exports surged as factories rushed shipments in anticipation of US President Donald Trump's expected return to the White House. Container ship fire leaves 3 dead. This and more after this breather.
Apa kata kalau kita pergi Ipoh?
Melaka dengan Johor pun best juga.
Spek siapa yang dia tinggal ni? Pandai ambil lah.
Behind closed doors, children face isolation, neglect, fear, leading to unsafe environments. Let's find out what we can do.
Adults needs to be reminded that it is their responsibility, but again, not necessarily labeled as parents, but they can be anyone around the child.
We need to validate that experience, even if you don't agree, even if you don't understand, to be able to recognize that kids are hurt in whatever way on TV3 or stream now on Tonton.
Shopee 11.11 Superstar Showdown. Jom saksikan sketsa menarik, persembahan gempak, tawaran hebat dan 11 juta shilling Shopee untuk dimenangi.
Secara langsung 10 November ini, 9 malam di Shopee Live dan TV3.
Top 5 carta muzik-muzik 40 minggu ini.
Hadid Faizal bin Zakaria.
Saya terima nikahnya Alia.
Tak boleh.
Welcome back. 3 crew members were killed and 3 others injured in a fire aboard a container ship at Tanjung Pelepas Port in Iskandar Putri, Johor on Friday. The victims included a Malaysian man, a British national and a Filipino. The fire broke out around noon during container unloading operations in the lower deck of the MSC Kiparisia vessel. Johor Police Chief Dato' A.B. Rahman Arsat confirmed the deceased as 59-year-old K. Sugumaran, a local ship surveyor, 49-year-old Darren Holling, a British fire safety specialist, and Diade Jason Hernia, aged 38, a Filipino crew member. The injured comprised a 26-year-old local fire safety specialist and 2 Filipino crew members, both aged 25. The bodies of the deceased have been sent to Sultanah Aminah Hospital in Johor Bahru for post-mortem, while the injured victims were taken to a private hospital for further treatment. The blaze has since been completely extinguished, and authorities have confirmed that no hazardous chemicals were involved, posing no risk to nearby residents. The vessel will be towed away from the port area to prevent any further untoward incidents, while investigations into the cause of the fire are ongoing. A senior officer from the Kuala Lumpur City Hall DBKL has been charged in the City Session Court with accepting a bribe amounting to 50,000 ringgit. The accused, 54-year-old Muhammad Hamim at Muhammad Kamaruddin, who serves as DBKL's Executive Director of Project Management, pleaded not guilty when the charge was read before Judge Azura Alwi. Hamim was alleged to have received the money from a person whom he knew had dealings related to his official duties. He allegedly committed the offence at Jalan Cangkat Tunku, Bukit Tunku on January 10th this year. The charge, framed under the Penal Code, provides for a jail term of up to 2 years, a fine or both upon conviction. The court set bail at 15,000 ringgit with one surety and fixed January 12th for case management. Hamim was also ordered to report to the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission's office during the first week of every month until the case is concluded. In Selangor, 2 former bank officers were among 3 individuals charged at the Shah Alam Sessions Court on Friday for failing to report bribes given to them by law firms in connection with the drafting of documents for housing loans. Judge Datuk Muhammad Nasir Nordin imposed a fine of 25,000 ringgit on 41-year-old Muhammad Haikal Jamaluddin and 6,000 ringgit on 28-year-old Amira Nabila Muhammad Jamaluddin after they pleaded guilty to the alternative charge. Muhammad Haikal was initially charged with 5 counts of receiving bribes totaling 15,920 ringgit. The offences were allegedly committed at 2 bank branches in Petaling Jaya between April 2021 and January the following year. Meanwhile, Amira was initially charged with receiving a cash bribe of 3,201 ringgit at a bank branch in Shah Alam in November 2021. In a separate proceeding, 37-year-old bank officer Koh Wei Yong pleaded not guilty to accepting 1,800 ringgit from a law firm at a bank branch in Kelana Jaya in May 2020. He was charged under the MACC Act and offered an alternative charge for failing to report the bribery transactions. The court granted him 8,000 ringgit bail and set case mention for December 16th. The bribery activities involving law firms and bank offices were successfully exposed by MACC through Op Tiger, which was conducted around June 2024. Selangor risk action from AFC over angry fans. The details when Nightline returns.
Behind closed doors, children face isolation, neglect, fear, leading to unsafe environments. Let's find out what we can do.
Adults need to be reminded that it is their responsibility, but again, not necessarily labeled as parents, but they can be anyone around the child.
We need to validate that experience, even if you don't agree, even if you don't understand, to be able to recognize that kids are hurt in whatever way on TV3 or stream now on Tonton.
3 ejen rahsia yang berpura-pura menjadi keluarga.
Pengintin, pemenuh upahan.
Tentu susah nak imbangkan kedua-dua tu kan.
Kecuali yang seketika boleh membawa.
Izinkan saya untuk tamatkan hidup awak.
Misi selesai.
Ketepilah perempuan! Inilah misi Spy X Family, kini dalam versi bahasa Melayu. Setiap Ahad 11 malam di TV3 dan stream sekarang melalui Tonton.
Shopee 1111 Superstar Showdown. Jom saksikan sketsa menarik, persembahan gempak, tawaran hebat dan 11 juta Shilling Shopee untuk dimenangi.
Serang langsung 10 November ini, 9 malam di Shopee Live dan TV3.
Kalau Aida buat jantung berdetak laju,
tak puas lah ni.
Mira pula buat Mak Amin kata setuju.
Calon yang Abang Amin nak kahwin tu, orang Kelantan.
Kau faham tak? Aku nak kahwin dengan kau.
Kalau dia daripada Kelantan pun, apa masalah dia?
Sekarang hati dah tak tahu nak pilih siapa dulu.
Dia nak kahwin dengan saya.
Kahwin dengan awak? Kau jangan nak kacau ambil aku,
Aku kata Sabtu ini 10 malam di Cerai Karama TV3 dan stream sekarang melalui Tonton.
Siapa suruh datang sini? Ha? Tak malu Aku ni memang tak pernah sukakan kau. Aku memang benci dengan kau.
News from the foreign front. Typhoon Kalmegi is currently moving west towards Cambodia and Laos on Friday. after it barreled through Vietnam with winds of up to 149 kilometers per hour. At least 5 people were killed in Vietnam after the storm slammed into its central and highland provinces on Thursday. Towns along Vietnam's central coast reportedly suffered severe damage, with trees uprooted, roofs torn off, and windows shattered. Thousands of people also sought shelter in schools and public buildings as the army was deployed to help manage the aftermath. Earlier this week, Kamegi tore through central Philippines, killing at least 188 people. However, Philippine authorities said the death toll may continue to rise, as 135 people are still missing following heavy rains and flooding from Kamegi. U.S. President Donald Trump on Thursday said he expects a U.S.-coordinated international stabilization force to be on the ground in Gaza very soon, following 2 years of war in the enclave. The multinational force, expected to include troops from Egypt, Qatar, Turkey, and the United Arab Emirates, is part of Trump's post-war governance plan for Gaza. It aims to train and support vetted Palestinian police in the Gaza Strip, with assistance from Egypt and Jordan. The president's projection comes as the UN Security Council readies talks to approve a 2-year mandate for a transitional body and stabilization force to protect civilians and secure borders. This comes as Israel's defense chief ordered the army to destroy all terror tunnels in Gaza, as airstrikes and artillery continued pounding southern Khan Yunis despite the U.S.-brokered truce. U.S. airlines scrambled on Thursday to adjust schedules and assist worried customers after the Trump administration ordered flight cuts at major airports amid the longest government shutdown and an air traffic controller shortage. The cuts, set to begin on Friday, are expected to hit hundreds of thousands of travelers with little notice. Aviation analytics firm Cirium estimated the reductions would cancel up to 1,800 flights and cut 268,000 airline seats a day in the U.S. The Transportation Secretary on Wednesday ordered 10% flight cuts at 40 major U.S. airports starting Friday, while the Federal Aviation Administration revised the plan to begin with the 4% daily reductions through Monday, rising to 10% by November 14th. On to sports now. Selangor FC could face sanctions from the Asian Football Confederation, or AFC, after angry fans stormed the pitch following their 2-3 defeat to Indonesia's Persib Bandung in the Asian Champions League 2 at the MBPJ Stadium on Thursday. AFC Secretary-General Datuk Sri Windsor Paul John said the continental body is reviewing reports of the incident and warned that action may be taken if security arrangements were found inadequate. He stressed that while football is emotional, safety protocols must be enforced. On Thursday, chaotic scenes erupted after the loss, which ended Selangor's winless ACL2 campaign. Some fans tried to enter the pitch and confront officials, while others gathered outside, demanding accountability from the club's management. Captain Faisal Halim, who missed the match due to injury, helped calm the crowd by meeting protesting supporters outside the stadium, with videos of the encounter going viral online. Security personnel eventually restored order, and no major injuries were reported. The Red Giants have yet to issue an official statement. Turning to badminton, the 2025 Korea Masters. Malaysia's title hopes remain alive after independent mixed doubles pair Jimmy Wong and Lai Pei-jing produced a dominant display to storm into the semi-finals in Iksan on Friday without dropping a single game. World number 37 Jimmy and Pei-jing swept aside Thailand's Puwanat Horban Luikit and Benyapa Aimsart ranked 150th in straight sets, 21-10, 21-12, wrapping up the match in just 27 minutes. Their strong run of form has seen them reach the semi-finals or beyond in 9 of 13 tournaments this year. They will next face South Korea's An Yoon-seong and Lee Yu-lim for a spot in the final on Saturday. Meanwhile, Malaysia's men's doubles challenge ended after world number 48 Chia Wei-ji and Louis Shenghao fell 15-21, 15-21 to Americans Chen Ji-yi and Presley Smith in the quarterfinals. And that concludes Nightline this time around. Before we leave, here's a look at Indonesian designers showcasing their creations at Jakarta Fashion Week, featuring long skirts, capes, and headscarves. With that, I'm Liyana Hassanel. Thank you for watching and have a great weekend.